Welcome to the Y Connect podcast. As the heartbeat of the community, the Y is a connector where people of all ages and walks of life come together to elevate their health, wellness, education, and essential life skills. Hear the stories of impact and join the authentic conversations where together we'll discover the journeys and pathways people take to connect through the Y. Now your hosts, Zarina, Robert, and Allison.
How's everybody doing today?
Hey, right back in it.
We're back for a second one. For a second one. And you know, this one is kind of personal to me, kind of hits home. And actually in the last podcast, we just finished talking about how much all three of us enjoy working out as part of our lifestyle. So in this podcast, and we're talking about building community through fitness at the Y. So it's just really apropos in order to be doing this one right after the previous one. Before our listeners, did you know that when individuals join the Y, they have access to more than 3,000 group fitness classes to choose from? The Y offers everything from cycling to dance to yoga, flexibility, strength, and more. And as a former Y wellness director myself, I know firsthand the value these classes have on a person's physical, mental, and emotional health. And perhaps one of the best outcomes of these classes is the close-knit community that is formed as a result. Joining us to talk about the Y's Group X programs is Maura McCurdy, a longtime fitness instructor with the Y, and returning for her second appearance on the Y Connect is our Vice President of Community Health and Wellness, Jennifer Rakowski. Welcome to you both.
Thanks. Welcome.
Jennifer, I'm going to begin with you. The expansiveness of the classes we offer is incredible. I remember being in those meetings with you and just the brainstorms that were coming out of those meetings. Describe what goes on in determining the variety of classes we offer at the Y.
Well, first and foremost, we want to offer something that all of our members can participate in. So we really look to have classes specific for youth, for the avid exerciser, for the beginning exerciser, for the active older adult, special populations. We really try to offer something for everyone. So, we really try to keep our lens wide. We are not a one format, one kind of class kind of place.
All right, which leads into my question, Jennifer. With the various levels of fitness across the Y Association, how does one determine which classes they should take depending on their fitness level?
That's a great question, Zarina. So first off, every facility has classes that are maybe not as beginner friendly, definitely more intermediate advanced. But all of our facilities also have great instructors like Maura. And so one of the things that a really great instructor is able to do is modify for anybody in the class, whether that's a modification up or a modification down. So, we certainly have classes that are more intro level or beginner friendly. But we also have some of those more intermediate advanced classes, which, if that works for your schedule, but maybe you're not intermediate or advanced, give it a shot. Let the instructor know that this is your first time taking this class. Have them ask them to help you get set up. What kind of equipment do I need? And you'll be in good hands.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maura, I have a question for you. So as a longtime instructor for us, how did you first become motivated to be a group exercise instructor? And second part, what do you enjoy most about being one?
Well, I grew up pretty active playing sports. I grew up in an active family. And then when I graduated from college, I moved to Atlanta. And quite frankly, I couldn't afford to join a gym. So there was a gym down the street from where I was staying that taught you how to be a teacher. And I thought, wow, I could stay active and I could get a free gym membership. So honestly, that's
very resourceful of you. Very resourceful.
But I just fell in love with it. I mean, I can't even imagine. I'm not going to tell you how many years because that's embarrassing, but I've been doing it for a long time and I absolutely love it. And what has kept me there is the members. I taught at a couple different places, but the Y has the most amazing community. It's almost just like family. I love it.
That's fantastic. But seriously, is there something you enjoy the most about teaching? Is if you had to pick out what that is?
Probably seeing the members seeing themselves change. We know when we're teaching class and they're exercising that their blood pressure is improving and they're getting healthier. But when they see tangible things, one of the women in my senior strength class took her grandchildren to Disneyland, and she's like, I got in the Autopia car and got back out. And I never would have been able to do that before. So when they can see that, for them, sometimes blood work, whatever. But when they can see that they can do their regular daily tasks easier, I love that.
Yeah, that's functional. Sense. That's great.
Mm-hmm. And Maura, if I can piggyback off of that, I can remember it was one of the last classes that I taught when I was wellness director at Eastlake with a YFIT class, and seeing somebody come in who was initially a little reluctant and, nerves were heavy, and I can't do a push-up, I can't do a pull-up, and, I'm telling them we'll modify everything. I'm exchanging out the weights for them so they don't have to worry about that part. All you have to do is just do the exercise. And to see somebody, as you say, just gradually get better, going from one plate to adding a 5 to whatever they were doing, to adding a 10 to whatever they were doing, to see them actually doing a push-up from a modified position to what's considered to be a standard push-up, to seeing somebody do a pull-up for the first time. And I used to share a lot of my stories and telling them, be like, everybody has a journey, and no one started where you see them now. So me being able to do a dip or a push-up or anything like that, yeah, if you would have caught me several years ago, I couldn't do it. So this is where you're starting, and this is where we are now. And you're going to gradually get better every single class. Just keep pushing through it. So I absolutely understand when you say just the success that a member has, it resonates to you, through you, and to everybody else in the class, and wants to help them do better and be better.
Right.
Absolutely. What strategies do you use to keep your classes engaged and motivated to participate?
I try to keep it different every time. I feel like boredom is the number one reason people stop coming to the gym. So just switching up the workouts. And also I ask them, I have a woman in my class who loves to use the gliders, and I know if she's going to be in class, I'm going to do at least one thing with the gliders because she loves that. And I always ask at the end of class, any questions, any suggestions? I can't be doing this myself. You have to help me. So I love to get their input on things that they love to do. And after a class, they might say, I love the format this way, and I might try to incorporate that another time.
Yeah. I love how you involve them in their fitness journey. That's great. So my question is for Jennifer. What measures are in place to continuously improve and innovate the group exercise program at the YMCA?
Oh, great question. So, Maura mentioned something in her last response. There are a couple of things that really keep particularly the new exerciser exercising. And one of those big predictors is preference. So we really look to our members to hear about formats that they're interested in, formats that they want us to bring on, to try. And for us, that's really a big piece of kind of figuring out what our next step is, in addition to the trends in the industry at the moment. There's a lot of member feedback that we take into perspective. So, we're always getting out. We're taking our instructors' classes so that we know what the member experience is like. I personally like to go take classes. I used to take Maura's class way back in the day just because she's an amazing instructor and it was like the highlight of my week. But, all of that kind of comes into play when we're, trying to figure out what our schedules look like, what classes do we want to add, etc.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I would love to hear from you, Maura, around this idea that I have really seen since joining the Y back in 2019, that group exercise classes really help foster this sense of community. Could you kind of explain like that seems to be one of the biggest reasons why we have such a following at our group exercise classes, because of the community that's created. Would love to hear your perspective on that.
Absolutely. It really is a community. And I think people go to the same classes pretty much every week, depending on their schedule. And so they get to see the same people every week. And then if you're not there, they're going to say, where have you been? Or if I say, where is so-and-so? Don't you remember she has a vacation, or, her son is sick or something. So everybody kind of knows, even if they don't know for sure your whole story, they know a little bit about you, and they're going to ask about you every time you see them. Where were you last week? Or will you be here tomorrow? So I think that really helps bring everybody together. They become friends and not just somebody that you saw at the gym.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a random question that I thought of earlier about music, because music can be such a motivator for people. Do you have freedom in selecting the kinds of songs and music you put together?
Good question.
Or is it kind of like suggested?
We have pretty much freedom, although there are some sort of licensing music laws. I use a company that uses license-free music, so it sounds like Beyonce. But it's pretty good because I put some stuff online and it gets pulled down because they think it's illegal. So it is pretty good. But I love to pick the music, and my favorite style of music is mashups. So I have a bunch of playlists that have songs that are mashed up, and it just keeps people, involved.
Yeah. Yes. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mashups are great because they tend to be intergenerational. So it's the 80s that we know and love with the updated beat that the younger folks like. I sound so old saying that, the younger folks.
No, it's important because if
it really is.
If the music isn't motivational, it's not as fun. So I like to hear that you put a lot of thought into that.
That was actually one of my most favorite parts of the classes, was surprising them with the style of music, whether it be a mashup or whether it be house music, as we talked about earlier. So I played a lot of house music during my classes, or going back and playing some 70s and 80s. And I definitely did that with a lot of the active older adult classes, and throwing out a classic Motown.
Oh, wow.
Everything that was on there was before I was even thought of. And but tell the classes, you all are too young for this. And so then everybody starts telling me their stories of Smokey Robinson and Aretha Franklin and Marvin Gaye. So it becomes somewhat of a historical session while you're teaching a class. Yeah.
And it's actually, it's a super important piece of a class planning. I mean, if you're teaching a cycling class, the music is a big driver. Maybe not so much if you're teaching a strength class and you're focused on lifting weights and am I lifting a 10 or a 15? But yeah, it plays a big part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Maura, you mentioned that you do receive feedback from your members during your classes, but can you share specific stories or testimonials that members have who have taken your classes?
Sure. One of my favorite stories is there was a gentleman who had a physical and he did not turn out as good as he maybe hoped for. Low blood pressure, some heart problems, and nothing serious, but not what he wanted. And his daughter took him to the Y one day and brought him to my class. And he did a strength class with me and fell in love with it. So then he started coming every week, but then he added a couple more formats and he was doing Pilates and he even started in my step class. And now he's one of my best steppers. And he, within 6 or 8 months, had turned his physical upside down, completely clean bill of health. And then he talked his wife into joining. And so she's been coming now and she's started her fitness journey and she's doing awesome. So that they are just an amazing family.
I love when it's intergenerational like that.
Absolutely.
That's right. And so, Jennifer, any latest fitness trends you're watching right now? And can you share any new offerings we might be considering in the future?
Yeah. So there's lots of good stuff that is kind of trending at the moment. Probably 3 or 4 that I can think of right off the top of my head are kind of fusion type workouts. So classes where you're blending different formats. So like a yoga and a strength class, which are completely different, but fused together to create kind of a total body workout. Those are super popular. I think obviously the space that we're in with mental health, mindfulness, breath work, thoughtful movement type classes are super popular. Always recovery types of classes, foam rolling, stretching. And then also we're starting to see some popularity with shorter classes. And we used to think of shorter classes being for the beginner exerciser, but now we're kind of seeing the trend of shorter classes at the higher intensity workout. So it's not always, more is more. It's sometimes less is more. So, those 30-minute classes, but we get in, hit it hard, and, finish with enough time to maybe do a recovery class or some extra stretching.
Is that something that our members tend to do, or stack classes some where they, kind of go in order at a particular Y and stay for a while?
We do have some classes that lend themselves to that very well. A cardio class and then, a lower intensity yoga or stretching kind of on the back end. So yeah, very popular.
That's great.
One thing we didn't mention, but I have to point out is, Maura, your shirt. So just identifying the fact that we have an online platform called Y360. Would love to hear both of you kind of share what that journey has been like since we really came on board and started sharing Y360 with our members.
Well, I will just kind of kick us off. So we've been putting content on YMCA 360 for probably about 3 years now. It sounds crazy to say that. Maura was actually one of the instructors, one of our very first instructors, our very first shoot. It may have been, it was during COVID. Maura did a bunch of step videos. And so I thought it was a fantastic experience because I wasn't the one in front of the camera for that one. I'll let Maura speak to that a little bit more.
It was really fun. And it was fun to know that what I was doing was going out to more than the 25 people that maybe could be in my class that, we could keep. And it was fun for me because my husband's also an instructor. And he teaches spin, and he was also involved in that shoot day. So he did a spin class or 2 that day we did it. So little family.
I love it.
Great. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you guys ever team teach classes?
No, but that's funny because somebody the other day was saying that they wanted to do a back-to-back spin strength. And they were like, you need to do that.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
They work. They definitely work. Yeah. Yeah. I had a little side question, though. I know one thing that I used to experience with very limited, the demographic was always women or heavy on the women's side. How are you recruiting men to take classes? Because I know, just speaking from a man perspective, we have a lot of pride in the gym. We wear our pride on our shoulders. So it's all about how many squats we can do, how much bench press. Jennifer's laughing because she knows I do no cardio. But how do you attract men to come to the classes and have them understand that the class is for a wider audience than just women?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I specifically seek that out, but I do know there are fewer men in the classes. In my senior classes, though, the percentage of men is a lot higher than it is in a traditional class. I think some of it has to do with my times I teach are mostly during the day. So maybe that's not a great time. Most of the gym is women anyways at that time. But I think in the spin studio, especially, I think there's a lot of men early mornings and later in the evening, maybe not the 9 o'clock class, but I do think that there. And then once you do that, you kind of get to know some people and they say, hey, there's a strength class. And I think once they come once or twice, then they're hooked. Yeah. They keep coming.
Yeah, that's I think fantastic. Robert, it is dependent upon the format. I teach a cycling class on Saturdays, and it's not quite a 50-50 split, but probably 60-40. So, yeah, it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Jennifer, I don't know how you do Saturday it all. Morning. Everybody who's listening needs to know Jennifer wears a million hats and is spinning a million plates at once all the time. And to hear that, yep, I also teach on Saturdays. Of course you do.
And she does it with a smile.
Yes. It's my happy place. I love it. Just like Mark, you have your people. These are my people. Yeah. I love seeing them.
Oh, they're very lucky to have you. Have you both. So as we wind down our episode, we always ask our guests the same question. And that is, we like to kind of find out everyone's pathway to the why story. And Jennifer, I know you've shared this before, but in case for people who didn't listen to the prior episode that you were in with Sam around Coach Approach, would love to hear in your words how you first got connected to the YMCA in your life.
So I won't give any years, but right out of graduate school, I either needed to complete a thesis or an internship. And so an internship it was. And my local Y back in Kansas was hiring for a wellness director. And I'd never had a Y experience prior to that. And I was pretty much hooked from that moment on. So started my career at a Y in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. And a couple of years later, came to Atlanta to do some work with the Coach Approach, which we've spoken about. And here we are today.
Wow. The rest is history.
The rest is history.
Maura?
I grew up going to the Y. So I grew up in San Diego and was on like year-round swim team at the Y. So it was kind of always a part of my life. And then when I moved to Atlanta and started teaching, I was teaching at this other club and teaching a spin class. And a woman who started coming for probably a month or so, she would come every week. And she said, I work at the Y. Do you think you could come teach spin at the Y? And I don't know why it never dawned on me that I should go back until then. And the next week I started teaching there and then haven't stopped. So it's just been, it's been so perfect all throughout the seasons of my life. I started teaching there. I had really little kids. I could bring them with me. It's been fantastic. And then they are now members. So.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Love that. And they're local, your kids?
They are not now.
Oh, okay.
One of them's local. 3 of them live in California.
Oh, they went back to your home.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness.
Wow. Wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah. Before we started recording, everyone, Maura was telling us that she was doing a Zoom class for her mother and her father, an exercise class, which I just love that you have that time with your family and that you get to teach your family. I think that's great. Well, this has been so fun, and I really appreciate both of you guys for hopping on and sharing about our group exercise classes, which truly are one of the most talked about and popular aspects of being a Y member.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you both.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Y Podcast. To continue the conversation or to find your closest Y, please connect with us at ymcaatlanta.org and sign up for our newsletter, Healthy Together.
Yeah!